The names on the ballot are listed in alphabetical order, so you have to look all the way down there to find Warnock. I may be near the end of the alphabet and the ballot, but I'll always put Georgia first.
Ahead of the November election, we're checking in with candidates across the country. And joining us now is Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate in the state of Georgia, Reverend Raphael Warnock. And Reverend Warnock, it's great to have you on. You're up against two Republicans, and Kelly Loeffler is one of them. What makes you stand out in this election, do you think, against your opponent? Both your opponents.
Good morning, Mika. It's great to be here with you. Listen, I've just been moving all across the state of Georgia telling my story. I'm a kid who grew up in public housing down in the Caton Homes housing projects of Savannah, Georgia. I'm one of 12 children in my family. I'm number 11 and the first college graduate. I'm running because it's harder now for children than it was for me. I often say that I went to Morehouse College on a full faith scholarship. That's true. A lot of hard work and a sense of personal responsibility, but somebody gave me a Pell Grant. Somebody gave me a low-interest student loan. And as I tell my story and people in Georgia get to know the work that I've been doing, focused on making sure everybody has affordable health care and that we lift up the dignity of workers, people are responding to our message.
Gene Robinson has the next question. Gene?
Reverend Warnock, good to talk to you. That recent Quinnipiac poll showed you over 40%, leading all contenders in this sort of first round, potentially, of the election. But do you potentially have a chance to win this outright in November, or do you think realistically there's going to be a runoff in January? And if so, which Republican would you rather face?
Oh, I'm just going to keep on telling my story and leaning into the work I've always done. I'm a first-time candidate, but I don't feel like I launched a campaign a few months ago. I'm continuing a campaign. I've been standing up for years. When we were trying to pass the Affordable Care Act, I was preaching about it from my pulpit. I'm honored to serve as pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church. It's the spiritual home of Martin Luther King Jr. We preach a gospel that we believe extends into the public square. And so I intend to lean into my message, continue to talk about health care, talk about the dignity of work. And yes, I think I can win this thing outright in November. We'll just lean in. We'll see what happens. But we are certainly delighted by the support that we're feeling all across this state. I was down in Southwest Georgia this past weekend, and the folks down there are feeling devastated because their local hospital is about to close, the Southwest Georgia Regional Medical Center. 7 hospitals have closed in our state in the last 10 years, and 2 have announced that they're going to close, in large measure because Georgia is one of only 11 states now that's refused to expand Medicaid, and this is devastating rural health care, not only the health care system, but it's a huge drag on the economy. And we can do better than this. Georgia deserves a senator who will stand up for ordinary people in the halls of Washington, D.C.
Reverend Warnock, Willie Geist, great to have you on with us again this morning. We've been talking a little bit today about Donald Trump's town hall meeting with NBC last night, and part of what he did was say he didn't know anything about QAnon. Well, one of your opponents, the woman you're trying to unseat, Senator Kelly Loeffler, yesterday accepted at an open news conference the endorsement from another congressional candidate who is likely to become a member of Congress who has endorsed QAnon conspiracy theories. So Senator Loeffler accepting that endorsement. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is that the people of Georgia, and I think all across this country, watch what's going on in terms of Washington politics, and they wonder where are they in the conversation as we are engaged in all of these arguments, conspiracy theories. Meanwhile, ordinary people are sitting at their kitchen tables this morning, and they're trying to figure out how they make their way through this dense fog of a once-in-a-century pandemic, an economic turndown, the likes of which we have not seen since the Great Depression. And politicians seem to be making the politics all about them. Meanwhile, people are suffering. We've got over 500,000 people in the Medicaid gap in this state. We're calling people essential workers, but we're not paying them an essential wage. We're not providing for them essential benefits. And young people, if they make their way to college or a university, are finding themselves loaded down with so much debt that they have a mortgage before they have a mortgage. We need people in Washington, in leadership, who are thinking about the people. Empathy is a muscle I've exercised for years. I'm a pastor. This is not theoretical stuff for me. I stand at bedsides in hospitals all the time. I've been in the critical care units of hospitals while loved ones are wrestling not only with the sickness, but how they're going to pay for it. And this is the kind of sensitivity and empathy that I think we need in the United States Senate.
Reverend Raphael Warnock, thank you very much for being on the show this morning. And we've reached out to both Senator Loeffler and Congressman Collins to invite them on as well. Up next, COVID cases on the rise as several regions try to fight back a third wave. Plus, the stark contrast between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in last night's dueling town hall meetings. Morning Joe is coming right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.